You compete, you're a key and motive on occasion. You're a historic racer, there's no doubt about it. Now, what are you racing, the track or the race? A Ford Falcon from 1964 is what I have been given, if anything. Isn't that equivalent to sailing on land? Yes, you are quite right. It has a certain floppiness about it. When it comes to humor, Rowan Atkinson is more than simply a legend. The combination of skill and desire may lead to success, and he is a live example of this. Atkinson has had a remarkable career as an actor and writer according to estimates, and his net worth is believed to be more than $150 million. In addition to his remarkable profession, he is also a large-scale automobile collector who has amassed an enormous collection of automobiles that includes historical classics, as well as some of the most sought-after models in the history of automobiles. Come along with us as we explore some of the most exquisite automobiles that Rowan Atkinson has in his collection. In addition to being a masterpiece of engineering, Rowan Atkinson's McLaren is also the most costly automobile he has ever owned. On the other hand, it comes with a fascinating history that you won't believe comes with it. Atkinson racked up over 41,000 miles of driving time while he was the owner of the vehicle. Despite this, his time spent with the Formula One was not a simple one. In addition to the first time he crashed the automobile twice, while he was traveling through the streets of England, he was involved in a small accident that involved colliding with the rear of another vehicle. Fortunately, he was able to avoid injury in this mishap. On the other hand, the same cannot be said for the second collision, which was more severe than the first. In the event when Atkinson was driving on a road that was slick, he was unable to maintain control of the vehicle and ended up colliding with a tree. The collision was so dramatic that it caused the engine to become detached from the vehicle. Surprisingly, he managed to escape the situation alive, although with a broken shoulder. On the other hand, the price for the repairs was something that he could not just avoid paying. The total amount of money that was spent to put back the components was a record-breaking $1.4 million, making it one of the most costly automobile repairs in the history of the world. In spite of the fact that Atkinson had owned the F1 for a period of 18 years, he made the decision to sell it. In 2015, he was successful in selling it at auction for a staggering $12 million. Considering that he had purchased it for around $800,000, this indicates that he profited roughly 10 times the initial amount. Nevertheless, here's the catch. Atkinson's decision to sell the automobile wasn't primarily motivated by the accidents that occurred. Within a short period of time, the McLaren F1 went from being a car owned by a millionaire to a trophy owned by a billionaire on account of the excessive amount of attention it received. Due to the fact that Atkinson is a private guy, he was unable to resist selling his most cherished automobile. The 1993 Mercedes-Benz 500e, sometimes referred to as the W124, is the only vehicle in Atkinson's collection that has managed to withstand this trend. Atkinson has a history of selling one-of-a-kind automobiles and moving on with his life. It is possible that a first glance at this vehicle might lead you to believe that it is a typical sedan. Nevertheless, you would be mistaken. Due to the fact that it is a genuine performance machine, it has been given the nickname Wolf in sheep's clothing. Let me just let you know that Porsche was involved in the construction of this stunning vehicle. As a result of this relationship, it should not come as a surprise that the 500e is equipped with a 5.0-liter V8 engine that generates 326 horsepower and can reach 62 miles per hour in just 5.5 seconds. But it is not the conclusion of the narrative. Due to the fact that it has been sold at auction not once but twice, the Mercedes 500e has its own unique history. In 1993, the actor made the first purchase of the automobile, but in 1994 he made the decision to sell it. However, in contrast to the previous supercars that he has sold in the past, he was unable to resist the temptation to buy it again in 2017. It came as a surprise when he sold it once more, barely 1 year after he had repurchased it. He auctioned it with another one-of-a-kind automobile from his collection, which was the 1989 Lancia Thema 832. This time, however, he added a twist to the situation. It is also true that the appearance of the Lancia Thema may be rather misleading, just as the appearance of the Mercedes 500e. When viewed from a distance, the 1989 Lancia may appear to be a typical executive car. Nevertheless, behind its hood is something truly remarkable, a Ferrari-derived 3.0 V8 engine. Atkinson's 1986 Aston Martin V8 Zagato is the next item on the list to be discussed. The V8 Zagato was a high-performance machine that was designed specifically for the racetrack, in contrast to the Aston Martins that are available today. This, like the other rare classics that he owns in his garage, has its own tale that is completely unique. It is important to note that Atkinson paid $670,000 for the Zagato. On the other hand, he desired for it to be a unique race vehicle rather than maintaining it as a collector's item. Therefore, he gave it to Aston Martin Works Service so that they might improve its performance. At that location, the automobile was reconstructed into a race vehicle at an extra cost of $300,000, bringing the total expenditure on the Zagato to as close to $1 million as possible. In the same way that many of Atkinson's high-performance automobiles have been involved in accidents during races, the V8 Zagato was one of them. Following a brief career in racing, Atkinson made the decision to sell the vehicle at auction. In spite of the fact that he had invested over $292,000 on restoring it, the auction did not go according to his plans, and he ended up selling it for only $162,000 instead. But the adventure of the automobile did not come to an end with Atkinson. Nicholas Mee and his team worked on the vehicle after it had been transferred from one owner to another, transforming it from a track-specific configuration to a road-specific configuration. After undergoing the modification, it was taken off of the racing circuit and sold for a total of $335,000. Atkinson's Ford Falcon Sprint is a legendary automobile that has a long and illustrious history of racing. The Falcon Sprint was a performance-oriented variant of the normal Falcon. It had a 4.7-liter V8 engine rather than the conventional 2.4-liter inline-six engine. The modification resulted in an increase in power, which elevated it to the status of one of the most thrilling muscle cars of the 1960s. An important fact to keep in mind is that the Ford Falcon Sprint served as the basis for the first model of the Ford Mustang, which was introduced in 1964. 2006 was the beginning of Atkinson's voyage with the Sprint, and ever since then he has raced it in a variety of competitions, testing its capabilities to their absolute limits. It is true that he wrecked this as well, so before you ask, the answer is yes. The events that led up to this occurred during the Goodwood Revival Shelby Cup race in 2014. During the course of the race, he was involved in an accident that was head-on and had the potential to be quite dangerous. It is fortunate that the damage was not severe, and both Atkinson and the Falcon Sprint were able to avoid suffering significant injuries as a result of the collision. Atkinson made the decision to sell the vehicle after having owned it for a period of 15 years. Over the course of the year 2021, he sold the Falcon Sprint at Silverstone auctions for a total of $77,000. High-end European automobiles are perhaps the only ones that come to mind when people think about Rowan Atkinson's collection of automobiles. On the other hand, Atkinson's cherished assets include a vehicle that may come as a surprise to many people: the Honda NSX. The NSX that Atkinson offers is an enhanced model that is equipped with a 3.0L V6 engine that generates 252 horsepower and has the capability to attain a maximum speed of 168 miles per hour. Although those stats might not appear to be very spectacular when compared to the standards of today's supercars, the performance of the NSX was revolutionary in the 1990s. The Rolls-Royce Phantom Drophead, which has a very particular place in Atkinson's heart, is another one of the many treasures that can be found lying around in his garage. There is a possibility that fans of Atkinson who have seen Johnny English Reborn may recognize this masterpiece with wheels that are precisely synchronized in an oceanic blue color. Not only does the 2011 model stand out due to its beauty, but it also distinguishes out due to the components that are housed within its engine. Atkinson's Phantom is an uncommon 9 and it has 0 liters of V16. It has been reported that the actor paid more over $500,000 on this specific Phantom, despite the fact that the standard Phantom drophead is powered by a 6.75-liter Volkswagen V12 engine. However, the most interesting aspect of the situation is that he personally asked that Rolls-Royce install an experimental V16 engine that would be reserved solely for Johnny English Reborn. Furthermore, it is incomprehensible that they manufactured 3 or 4 of these engines, put them through their paces, and found that they possessed power and torque ratings that were nothing short of astounding. Consequently, I reached out to Rolls-Royce and inquired about the possibility of installing one of their V16 engines in the front of our Johnny English Phantom. Are you open to the idea? The Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG GT is the next vehicle to be introduced. Additionally to being a lovely automobile, this Crimson Beauty is also a high-performance machine that was designed with speed in mind. The AMG is more than simply the gull-wing doors that have become its signature. It is equipped with a 6.2-liter V8 engine that generates 583 horsepower. Because of this powerhouse, it can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.5 seconds. You have to understand that Atkinson is a huge fan of automobiles, not just because of their appearance but also because of how well they operate. The fact that he possesses a large number of racing vehicles is evidence of the fact that he began his interest in automobiles at an early age and subsequently turned it into a pastime. Over the course of 2 seasons, he competed in the Renault 5 Turbo 1 Make Series. In addition, he was a participant in the Goodwood Revival in 2013 with his Jaguar Mark 7, and in 2012 he competed at the Le Mans Festival alongside his Aston Martin Vantage D4. To his credit, he does not purchase automobiles just for the purpose of displaying them. It brings him great pleasure to take them out on the road and test their boundaries. When it comes to him, automobiles are more than simply expensive possessions. They are about the excitement, the control, and the delight that come from experiencing them while driving.